What's up, everybody? It's your boy Splash, and today I am here with the homie GB. GB, if you want to say what's up.
Yep.
And today we will be touching on how strong is the Yu Yu Hakusho verse. Now, we are going to go over feats by characters in the story, what they do, how that quantifies, how that calcs, all that nerd stuff. However, we'll try to avoid too much heavy into one particular character in case you guys want to see a scaling of that particular character. To start the video off, GB is going to break down the power level of the top of the B class, which would be Toguro.
Yeah. Okay. So in the Dark Tournament and around the Dark Tournament arc, we see Toguro fight Genkai, and a lot of people underestimate Togoro's power, even though it has percentages and he's suppressing throughout most of the series. Toguro, when he fights Genkai, causes a crater before killing Genkai, and this crater cannot be replicated by Hiei, and this all world, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the demon world being much more durable than the regular world is, the human world is. For example, just to reference that, Sensui, 1/5 of Sensui's power is enough to be overwhelming for planet Earth. It would be too much for planet Earth to sustain 1/5 of his power. And in the anime, he goes into stating that 1/10 is enough or is too much for Yusuke. So 1/10 of his power in the anime, he flexes it, knocks Yusuke back with Koen. And this is heavily suppressed Sensui. And if you go into furthermore later on, Sensui's fighting in the demon world. He mentions that his power can be used without a thought. So at this point in demon world, he's fighting without really thinking about it. He's not really suppressing himself anymore. But he mentions that the wind of the demon world can make it unwieldy. This can mean that it's hard to control, or that it just doesn't feel sufficient or as impressive as it would be in the human world, obviously, because flexing a minor level would destroy it. So Toguro is able to crater the demon world in ways that Hiei can't replicate, and Hiei is a high-class demon by the end of the Dark Tournament arc. To go into that a little bit further as well, when you watch Sensui fight, and he's releasing his power, and he's fighting Hiei, he's fighting Kurama, although they've excelled in power and they've increased, they still don't cause the damage that 80% Toguro caused with that crater. So Toguro, I could easily say that referencing Sensui isn't holding back in Demon Realm, and him holding back on Earth was going to cause too much stress and eventually destroy it. I could easily say that Toguro could be anywhere between a moon level or possibly maybe a little bit more than that, but definitely it's safe to say that 80% Toguro to 100% is moon level, given the damage he causes in Demon World. But there is also 120%, which definitely solidifies it. So,
Do you want to explain the mountain busting, the relevance of mountain busting in terms of where that actually scales?
yeah, like the spirit gun throughout the series is consistent. It can bust mountains in the demon realm. And we know that on Earth, busting mountains, there's a lot of calcs for it. It varies from calc to calc. You know, everybody has their own opinion on it. But the potency it would take to destroy a mountain, especially large mountains in the demon world, would be unbelievable. And considering that these characters in Demon World, when they're fighting, are going all out, Sensui is even shocked at times that mountains are being destroyed by Yusuke. And this is before Yusuke gets possessed, which Splash will go into soon. These attacks that Yusuke is using would easily foderize the moon. Like this isn't even. It's not even question. Given the fact that Sensui is fighting at full power, and these attacks are catching his attention, and he's wearing caution to these attacks, you could easily put these things at moon level passively. These are casual spirit guns at this point. So busting mountains definitely does solidify moon busting in Yu Yu Hakusho.
All right, so I'm going to get into Where exactly we go a little bit beyond that after a Toguro. So Toguro, you can go anywhere from low ball island level to moon level. Um, Moving on, we have Sensui, passive Sensui. Passive Sensui stated verbatim that anything above 1/5 of his power would cause too much stress on the planet. Now, you could argue, see, this is a little weird to try to wiggle out of. Because he specifically stated this when Yusuke presses his buttons in the manga, like, "Oh, if you hate everything, why don't you just let it out?" He says, "No, you got me twisted. I hate humanity. I don't hate bugs. I don't hate wildlife. I don't hate the earth itself. I want that to live on. I just hate humanity because it's evil." And so if he goes above 1/5, it will bring up about at least surface wiping, but it makes more sense if it's just going to destabilize and destroy the planet. So 5 times a suppressed sense. So 100% of suppressed sensui. It gets a little difficult with the wordage, but 100% suppressed sensui is 5 times planetary because he doesn't really let loose until he gets to the more. So then you get to there where you have 5 times planetary sensui. Um, and this also demonstrates the fact that Yu Hakusho, as long as they're stronger than you in raw power, can neg your hacks because the demon flame that Hiei tries to use, which is literally flames from hell, can't even get to Sensui. He passively negs it with his power. So we can see that like hacks, and as well as Toguro in the tournament, was consuming the souls passively of characters weaker than himself, and it did nothing to Yusuke. So we know for a fact that even soul manipulating hacks or erasure or burning from hell flames doesn't do anything to you if you have the raw power. So they neg hacks that way, and Yu Yu Hakusho, in case someone pulls up on you like, "Oh, my character has hacks," you just have to get the AP up. So looking at 5 times planetary base, Sensui holding back. Yusuke dies. We see Yusuke die, and then he awakens a gene, his demon gene, and when this awakens, he comes back to life. He hops on his fly-ass pigeon, flies off to do work against Sensui, who is currently fighting his best friends. This Yusuke passes by the Spiritual Defense Force. Spiritual Defense Force is capable, and it's confirmed, of taking down the A-class demons. A-class demons would lowball be planetary due to the scaling off of Sensui. With this in mind, they should be able to take on threats that are 5 times planetary, because we know that out of base, Sensui is above S-class. So out of base is above their pay grade, but before that, around planetary to 5 times planetary, they can handle. When Yusuke flies by them, they verbatim state that his power, the power they just felt, is infinitely beyond anything they had felt prior. This would include A-class planetary plus beings. So he's infinitely beyond that. Which should, infinite mass, infinite whatever. It's pretty safe to say that's universal. So when you get into there, you have Universal Yusuke Awakened Demon Gene battling Sensui, who, goes all out and is matching him. And then Yusuke becomes possessed. At this point, when he is possessed, he fires off a shot that knocks Sensui beyond the horizon in the demon realm and kills him. Kuwabara, who earlier on in the series, because some people, GB said, questioned Kuwabara as a reliable character when he scales people. But we do know during Genkai Old Master's training to pick her next apprentice, Kuwabara during one of the tests tested the highest for spiritual sense, energy, telepathy. So like basically how in touch he is with sensing other people's spirit energy as well as his own. So this means he would be one of the most, if not the most reliable characters when it comes to reading spirit levels of other characters. GB, I know when me and you were talking, you brought up a specific instance. When, was it Three Kings? If you want to mention that real quick.
Yeah, the Three Kings arc. It's a brief. I think it's a brief thing. I think the fights are more elaborated, situations are more elaborated upon in anime, but in the manga, it's a brief arc. The three kings essentially scale above Sensui, um, in most ways. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Raizen is a three king. I'm pretty sure, although he's like
Yes.
suppressed, severely
Yeah.
weakened. Um, yeah. So Kuwabara, as strong as he is, and when he's watching Yusuke fight, his intuition, he notes that something's gonna go wrong. That Yusuke can, like essentially insinuating Yusuke can't get this done, and he loses. So Kuwabara throughout the show, also it's very noted. Kuwabara throughout the show, he always separates his beliefs and him being a friend from what is literal. Whenever he is judging someone's power, he speaks in a more literal sense instead of his normal, you know, I guess delinquency self, comic character self. He speaks more seriously. So in this instance, in the Three King arcs, he's speaking very seriously, and Yusuke would then go on to lose the fight.
Yeah, so Kuwabara is worthy of consideration when it comes to his statements. So this is relevant because he states that the possessed Yusuke, who one-shot Sensui, was roughly 1,000,000 times above what I just scaled for you, the universal awakened Yusuke. And he even says to Yusuke, I felt that your power was about 1,000,000 times greater than you were in base. So what he meant was, when you became possessed, the power you were given off and the power you used was 1,000,000 times stronger. Yusuke goes, yes, you're correct. And this makes sense that Yusuke would say that because Yusuke's pissed at himself for becoming possessed because he wanted a fair fight with Sensui. And the fight was so one-sided when he became possessed that he literally one-shot Sensui. So it makes sense. It's literally confirmed by another character. Yeah, I was at that absurd level of power. So now you have 1,000,000 times universal, which puts you in the multiversal range. Now, GB, do you want to talk about finger flick Raizen?
Oh yeah, so Raizen hasn't been eating, devouring humans or anything really for that matter, because of a promise he made and a commitment he made to the woman he fell in love with, the human woman he fell in love with. And this has severely dwarfed his power to, I believe, where he states he's at 1% of where he used to be. And Yusuke's mission at this point, per Raizen, is to simply move him off the throne. And Raizen at this point probably can't move. So Raizen literally finger flicks Yusuke, and Yusuke is very hard-headed. Very hard-headed. We see this in the Toguro fight where he gets hit by Toguro. No matter how many times he's overpowered, he wants to keep fighting. We see this throughout the Dark Tournament arc with Sensui, where Sensui literally finger flicks his arm, breaks it. He wants to keep fighting. He even antagonizes Sensui. When he gets finger flicked by Raizen, he immediately throws away the notion of there being a possibility he can kill him. So that is like a huge factor into understanding how strong Raizen would be at 100%, let alone the 1% of power he's at. He literally finger flicks a win condition out of Yusuke. There's nothing Yusuke can do at this. So literally him off the throne is the only way.
There's something in debating called changing the goalpost, in which you move like the goal of your debate or the goal of the victory. So he out-debated Yusuke at this part, figuratively so bad that Yusuke got touched and changed the goalpost from I gotta kill this man to I gotta move this man like a foot. Like just immediately was like, nope, this is different. I gotta move different. And yes, for clarification, it is stated after this moment of knocking him off the chair, later on that Raizen and Raizen in general is at about 1 to 2% in power. So the strongest we saw like multiversal Yusuke is Raizen should be above that by just a bit. So Raizen should be above multiversal like in the multiversal range, pretty comfortably. This, by the way, for those that are like, oh, you don't provide scans, you don't provide notes, I will post either in the video while you watch it or in the description where in the manga this happens, but I know half y'all can't read. Anyways, the 1% power statement comes from chapter 163, page 10. So for anyone that's doubting that, that's where you can go to find it. So we are now in multiversal for Prime Raizen easily. Possessed Yusuke, arguably multiversal. This is where we get into the fact that base Yusuke, after that, one-shot 43 S-Demons casually without any effort in the tournament, and then would go on to fight Yomi for 60 hours and drain Yomi to the point where he would go on to lose the tournament. So this puts Yusuke afterward. I'm not comfortable in saying he reaches possessed where he was possessed against Sensui power level, but I am comfortable saying Universal Plus easily. I could get him to Multiversal, sure, but Universal Plus seems a lot more reasonable. And this is kind of where I will, to finish up the scaling for this video, get into the physics behind the show as far as what each realm represents. So we know that like there's the spirit realm, demon realm, human realm. The gods, which an example of this is Enma. He finds out that his stuff was stolen, and his anger, if he finds out at that point, will be so great that passively, even though he's in the heaven realm, it will reflect upon the human realm and the human plane and cause unprecedented damage versus via an earthquake. So his anger would be so absurd that it would cause more damage than anything that's ever happened to Earth, which would include, surface wiping, devastating events from our past, like with dinosaurs and stuff. And we know for a fact the spirit realm can't mess at all with S-class demons. Furthermore, we see in the manga, I believe it's chapter 11. It's either early chapter 11 or chapter 10, where Yusuke, I can actually scroll up in my Yusuke notes. Yusuke would face an angered girl emotional spirit, who, when she confronts Yusuke, this is his beginning of like spirit detective work. She states she was going to send Yusuke to the end of space and time with one attack. Chapter 10, page 15. This means, at the very least, that the human world, the human universe, somewhat operates based on our regular principles, so like space, time, all that. So this is important because, we could say it's like an infinite universe, infinite 3D. But compared to the demon realm, it's stated in the manga that the human world is let me pull up this game. No, the demon world. This is a reference to the demon world. The demon plane is a vast realm. The underworld controls it only to a very tiny extent. Botan states this is news to her. She's been to the spirit realm and human realm, but not demon world. Enma goes, we basically hold sway over a mere one half the topmost level of this abysmal region. Think of a demon plane as a huge mine shaft, plunging to unimaginable depths. So compared to infinite 3D realm and even spirit realm, which is superior in physics to the human realm because it can handle more power, that's blatantly stated, this would mean it's above infinite 3D in size. We can lowball it still, but the reason this is important is because at the very bottom of the demon realm resides the S-class demons. In fact, a lot of people don't even know about the existence of S-class. They think it only goes up to A-class. However, the S-class existing down there means they're going bare minimum infinite amount of distance to blitz to the top when it's time to go to the human realm and destroy it. So when the barrier is gone and it's safe for the S-class to come up and take over, they go in at least, like I said, at least an infinite distance to get there and to battle or take over or whatever. So that means S-class has at least infinite speed. Anyways, GB, anything you want to add? Anything I missed that you heard? Or
yeah, Togoro's shades alone are moon level. No, I think everything was covered. Um, I mean, we really don't have to go in like for those wondering like Hiei and stuff like that. If you want to see videos like that, we can definitely go into how strong Hiei would have been, given the fact that he has another transformation at the end of the series that does give him an amp, but he rarely ever uses it. I think he only uses it once in canon. Um, there really is no reason to go. I mean, Kuwabara could be a video. He has like a whole weird thing with his spirit energy that further explains how strong the verse is, since his spirit energy is a physical manifestation of his soul, I guess you could say. So yeah, but I think
And
we
it's
furthermore covered
cuts through
everything.
dimensions. Yeah.
Yeah, it easily cuts through. And not to mention
um,
the one of the three kings scales above that. Like he literally couldn't cut through the dimension that he was put in at that point. So yeah, that's a whole basket in itself.
yeah. So, anyways, by the way, too, just scaling that dimension. No, I don't want to give away too much for a core bar video, but there is actually a dimension in between dimensions. At one point, and he gets out of that too. So, anyways, let me know what y'all think. Like I said, what I'll probably do is for reference points. If y'all want to go check the manga, I will put the chapters and pages in the description exactly where they are. For the video, there will probably be gameplay footage just for entertainment purposes. But if you want to check those, you can go check it out. As I read this, I literally took notes as I read. That's why it took me longer than usual. But yeah, so more UU videos to come out. Pretty much done with Star Wars. Maybe I'll do a video after Rise of Skywalker and say how I felt about it. But we're going to get more into manga because that's what's been getting me views, and I have enjoyed some of the manga, including Kengan Ashura, Kengan Omega, Yu Yu Hakusho. Once I get a chance to look at it, and once GB's done with it, Inuyasha, Vinland Saga, if I finish it. So we got a lot of stuff coming. But GB, thank you for coming on. I hope y'all realize Naruto sucks. Yu Yu is GOAT. And I'll see y'all later. Peace.